Lately, it has been the accepted fact that the United States of America is a Christian nation, and within the past several years, the pressing matter of illegal immigration has since asserted, furthermore, that America is an English-speaking country. But these two assumptions could have dangerous consequences for the people who so blindly accept these well-ingrained American myths to be fact. The assumption that the United States is a Christian nation comes from a misinterpreted presentation of our own history. When the Puritans fled England due to religious persecution by King Henry VIII, they set up the colonies in America to have the freedom to practice religion as they chose, unaware that their rebellion against the crown would set in motion the idea of total religious freedom. To look at the beginnings of the American legal system is to quickly realize that the Founding Fathers rejected any religious affiliation involving the American government. James Madison, both as a president and as the most influential member of the Constitutional Convention and the driving force behind the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment, supported the opinion that ecclesiastical and civil matters is of importance in showing that religion and government will both exist in greater purity the less they are mixed together. Madison's view on religion is not one stigmatizing it, but stating that like oil and water, religion and government do not mix, and would instead both prosper indefinitely if kept separate. The lack of religious agenda in the new country was obvious to religious leaders of the time, who quickly realized that the Constitution was intentionally written as a godless document. Timothy Dwight, evangelical president of Yale University, declared, "The nation has offended Providence. We formed our Constitution without any acknowledgement of God, without any recognition of His mercies to us as a people, of His government, or even His existence. We commenced our national government under the present system without God." Despite the solidarity of the founding doctrines of our country, the outcry for the comfort of the religious crutch from old-fashioned Americans caused the First Amendment to be reviewed in 1947 through the Supreme Court case Zorich v. Clausen. In the end, Justice Wiley Rutledge wrote, "The amendment's purpose was not to strike merely at the official establishment of a single sect, creed, or religion. The object was broader than separation of church and state in the narrow sense." The very wording of the First Amendment, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof," clearly disclaims any kind of religious preference, a decision which, had it been the intent of the framers of the Constitution, could have been easily reversed. The separation of church and state has failed in the way that the Founding Fathers intended it. All contemporary laws and regulations are based off the moral system of Orthodox Christianity. The most obvious of such systems is the Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC. The FCC is one of the largest independent government agencies in the United States. It has jurisdiction over all 50 states and all the U.S. territories, and oversees all broadcasting regulations, telephones, interstate commerce, and even the correct functioning of microwaves. The FCC has 5 commissioners, all of whom are appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate. In the media, the FCC is most renowned for its restrictions on what it deems to be obscene and sexually explicit. Its generic definition of indecency, which was subsequently upheld by the U.S. Court of Appeals, has given the FCC the power to define indecency and block it from the public's view, giving the agency nearly total control over what Americans can tune into for their own entertainment. This is a scary notion. Giving the government the ability to control our entertainment indefinitely theoretically gives them the power to control our thoughts and beliefs, allowing them to shape our society into however a fashion they want. However much a conspiracy as it may seem, it's much closer than most would assume. China, a well-known communist country, as recently as last July demanded that all computers sold in China come with a software that blocks access to certain websites. The software, known as Green Dam Youth Escort, is meant to block pornography and other unhealthy information, deemed, of course, by the Chinese government. This represents a perfect example of societal control through direct government manipulation of religious values. Our society as a whole has much to fear from government manipulation of America's most proliferate religion. However, the threat of government censorship and religious manipulation is insignificant to the sad fact of religious naivety, which inhibits the melting pot mentality of our society. While Christianity is the largest followed religion in the United States, there are over 1,600 registered religions being practiced in this country as well. What is most upsetting is that other religions and their associated cultures are not explicitly observed in our government, and despite the vast array of cultures, certain unique individuals are still gawked at for dressing, acting, and talking differently than from what the social norm is considered to be of a typical American. It's impossible to rewrite nearly 300 years of laws and legislation, but for the betterment of our society, we must evolve on all planes of our existence to advance, and our evolution as a country and as a society depends upon the integration of all cultures and religious perceptions when forming conclusions about the direction of our country.